There is barely anything that's more important than scoping, right? And I don't see much of it, frankly, at least not to a degree that we probably should be seeing. Because ultimately it's very similar to category scopes. Like you go to like an e-commerce site, and usually whenever you're searching, if you want the search to be really relevant for people, right, then you probably want them to maybe choose a category or a couple of categories or define a couple of filters instead of just giving like a very generic inquiry. So if you go to an e-commerce site and you just type in refrigerator, there'll be different kind of refrigerators. You really have to scope it to a particular type of refrigerator. With AI, it's a similar story. If you just type in just 1 or 2 or 3 keywords, that's extremely generic, so you shouldn't be surprised that you're getting generic response. So what if we actually helped or nudged people in some way to scope? How? For example, like Luke Wroblewski does it. So Luke has set up ask.lukew.com, where basically you can ask any questions, right? And AI answers. So that's how it works. So you start typing, right? And you basically ask a question. You also get some suggestions early on, right away. So you start typing, then it kind of does a bit of homework, trying to give you a bit of an advice. Then it doesn't just give you the text, it also gives you the image and videos and things like that that you can actually select here, right? And potentially you can say, okay, I'm interested in this video. That's an interesting video. Okay, now what you have this inquiry that is scoped again towards that particular video. And you also have transcript, which allows you to search within that video. So you can just jump to a particular segment of that video, potentially download it, check something within it, maybe select a particular range in the video, things like that. And so when you ask a question, what about floating labels? It's now scoped to this video, right? Which is really something that I haven't seen anywhere else. And then of course it gives you this sort of a way to interact with it. So you can say, I want to see more of this, I want to see less of that, right? Anything like that. So when you look at this, like what is happening behind the scenes here, right? First of all, you have this auto-generated article summary for every article as well. You have these key topics that are identified automatically by AI. You can scope and have your inquiry scoped to a particular topic, a particular document, a particular video, a particular segment of a video, right, or audio. You can also have, like, of course, the article reader, specific suggested questions, and also specific, you can also ask some specific articles, specific questions as well, right? Just one part of it just cut off, right? And so when you actually look at the video page, for example, again, you have the scrubber for content that's content specific, very much like with chapters we see in Zoom, right? Things like that. You can search transcript, have full transcript. You can also ask audio specific questions. Again, the same story, right? Kind of always this idea of scoping. There is nothing more powerful than actual scoping, right? And there are very different ways of doing it, right? A very nice way of doing this is coming from Perplexity, right? Perplexity is a wonderful search engine that is really well designed, I have to say, right? We do need to have conversations about ethical dilemmas there. That's a separate story. We can definitely discuss it after the session, right? But if you just type in something like, ooh, gifts for my friend, well, it will ask you, what is the occasion for the gift? Who is that friend? Is it like a close friend? Is it acquaintance? Like what kind of gift are you looking for? What is the price range you're looking at? It's like very similar to what we get in search, where we try to nudge people towards a scope. That's the same story, right, with an AI interface, right? And this is actually a wonderful example that has been discovered by Raluca Putiu from Normal Nielsen Group. You can also take a closer look at this article that she published about just that. In real world, right, in the interface, this is what it would look like. You ask a particular question, right? It's the same story. The start is a prompt, but you also get suggestions, right? And autocomplete suggestions right there. And then it tries to understand the question that you have, right? Actually going to the web and trying to figure out what would be relevant. You can also rewrite the question, or write the answers. You also get some related questions as well. And then once you're there, you can actually really go ahead and say, okay, here's another question. Who is currently the best athlete in the world? So it's a very broad question. It understands that it's a very generic question, so it asks you which sport or type of athleticism are you interested in. So you can say soccer, and then it will look for the best athlete in the world in soccer. So as long as it realizes that it's actually generic, right? Well, then it will prompt the questions that you need to answer to get to non-generic input. It's so powerful, It's a small thing, but it's so powerful. The reason why most of the time when we get to ChatGPT 3.5 or 4, the reason why we get relatively generic replies every now and again, we just don't do enough with scoping, right? That's really, really impactful and important. Obviously, it doesn't apply just to text. You know, if you look at GitHub Copilot, it's kind of the same story. So I probably have to make it a bit slower, right? So the first thing you do when you actually want to chat with the GitHub Copilot, right, it tells you, okay, what kind of document set or data set are you actually interested in? So it doesn't just give you a chat box. That's important, right? It tries to scope you right away into a specific doc set, right? So then you select, okay, I'm working on primer. All right, good, fantastic. Okay, so can you be a bit more specific? Like actually when you look at it, right, you can say, well, how do I design responsive layout in primer, right? It also gives you some suggestions and stuff like that. And then you get an answer. Here we go. To design responsive layout in primer, you should do this and this and this and this and this. And here is an answer. But also, this is where you can explore more of it. And also, I think very, very useful at this point, that when you click on one of the chapters, it doesn't close the interface, right? It doesn't just drive you to a separate page, to a separate link in a separate tab, right? It's still there. It's contextual. So you can explore the part that is relevant to you right away. That's scoping at its best. It's fantastic, right? Also, when you want to have a maybe more specific expert question, you could do something like this. How can I update it giving this specific part? So again, not just how do I update it given a particular documentation, but you can actually select it from whatever you already installed or set up, right? Again, this sort of something that we're used to Slack probably could also be applied to our AI interfaces as well, right? And when you start looking into this, right, this is kind of almost an idea where we kind of move towards really getting people to results faster, right? Because that's what it's all about with scoping. And the one thing that's missing here is good presets and templates, right? Where we proactively, and that's important, we proactively suggest relevant prompts to help people refine their output.